Gary Glasgow, welcome to Two on the Aisle. It's
Welcome.
so great to have you here. We've admired so much of what you've done as an actor, but you're also a teacher at Webster Conservatory, and we were especially looking at the Antony and Cleopatra this summer, where I guess they were saving on the budget or something, but they had you doing 3 parts there, which all so wonderfully different. I mean, one was a soothsayer, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And then you were Lepidus, the third person, very much the third person in the triumvirate, the weakest. And then after they got rid of him, you came back as this peddler, I guess he was, sort of, bringing the vipers to Cleopatra. And I know you had costumes that helped with it.
Sure.
They were all quite different. And I guess we had video of at least 2 of them, I think. I don't know if all 3, so people could see. But we were thinking about, now this is very impressive work as an actor, but then does this spill over into teaching? Do you tell students, here's how I do it or whatever? Now, how did you do it, those 3 parts, and make them so distinct?
Well, I'm a character actor, and that's kind of probably what my stock in trade is. I have to learn how to differentiate characters, and often I'm doing a couple of roles in a play. So that's part of my history. In terms of teaching the students, yeah, we have a whole 8 weeks on characterization, and some of the methods that I use, center work with stuff called Laban efforts, I apply that to kind of sculpting a character.
Now, explain what these are. Go into it a little more. Give us a lesson here too, maybe.
The idea of physical centers is that we process the world from different places. More like a head center is very cognitive, or could be flighty. A heart center is maybe processing the world through pride or through great sentiment. Stomach center may be processing the world from a very nurturing or very power sort of a point of view. And when you start to think about that way, you can start to go through your day and realize, I'm really in my head center now. I'm really just thinking about all the ideas versus I'm really in my gut now, I'm really in my heart now in terms of the way I'm attending to things. And when you, as reviewers, when you see a theater, you're probably working through your mind and your heart simultaneously as you go through the show.
Uh-huh. And so in those 3 characters,
yes,
were
sir.
they distinguished in that way?
Yeah, Lepidus seemed more, had a softer sort of essence, and at times was kind of a flighty head center, but also had great heart, okay? The snake guy, snakes are us, who brought the snakes at the end, was much more kind of a stomach center, more down to earth, practical, kind of easygoing, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So they're physical changes, and then the Laban efforts are about changes in internal rhythm, changes in the strength of your effort, that sort of thing. So there's some techniques, and these are not unique to me.
No.
There's the stuff that I have stolen over my years.
Sure.
So that gives them some tools for the students to use.
So you use these when you're working, and
Yes.
then you share them with the students.
Yes, sir.
And do you see them? How do you see this happening with them?
Do I see them using it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, and how does that show up when they're working?
In that particular show, Raina played Octavia. She was the bride to Mark Antony, and then later on she was the handmaiden to Cleopatra.
Yeah.
And so they were just different essences between those 2 characters, okay? Her Octavia from the outside seemed to be more about heart and about a sense of regality and that sort of thing, but her handmaiden was more fun, kind of had a faster tempo, maybe a little bit more in her pelvis. She had something going on. Mm-hmm. She was processing the world from a different part of her body.
We were also, when we were talking earlier, you were saying something about a person who was helping with text.
Yes.
On the Shakespeare.
Suzanne Mills
Uh-huh.
has been our text coach, I think since we did Hamlet, maybe 4 or 5 years, and she is excellent. Just excellent. And her job is to ensure that the show is clear, it's easily understood, And so she knows the text backwards and forwards, knows all the arcane meanings of the words, and maybe how we could make sense of the language. In such a big space, primarily, once you get past the 10th row, it's a little bit like radio theater. You're doing a lot of hearing of the text.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know, I went back after seeing it in one of the reserve seats. I went back and sat at the top of the hill. And I found that it communicated to me just as well up there, because it seemed as if there was always some sort of motion that a character did before speaking to attract the eye to where the voice was coming from.
And Mike Donahue did a great job of even saying, make some sort of movement here, you know, take a cross here in order to get the attention of the audience, and also kind of maybe supply some physical action to what was happening through the language.
Yeah.
Now, you've done a lot of the Shakespeares in the park. How many?
12 out of 15. Yeah, I've been very fortunate.
Are there other parts that particularly stand out for you?
Other parts that I have done
Yeah.
there, I loved doing the Henry 4-5 sequence that we did last year. I was playing like 4 characters in that, and that was just a lovely chance to do that, to create a big arc of 2 different plays. It was a lot of fun too. I had a great time in Henry V as the Archbishop of Canterbury, and doing the Salic Law speech was a lot of
that was
fun,
terrific.
you know.
And
that was very impressive, because that can be so dull, and you had a lot of fun with it,
Well.
which I guess you really need to do.
Oh, yeah.
If it's not just going to send an audience either asleep or out of the theater going over all that.
And to start the show with that too.
Well, yeah, and to see how they are, in effect, manipulating the young king to get to avoid what they don't want and to get something else instead. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you had multiple parts in that play too.
Yes. I was Nim, the guy that couldn't stand up to Jerry Vogel's character, that really wanted a mistress quickly but couldn't have her. I was the Lord Chief Justice in Henry IV.
Right.
So, and a lot of those characters in those 2 plays were mash-up characters. They had taken lines from here and here and there to kind of keep it simple. So that was a lot of fun too.
One of the parts that I particularly liked that you did at Shakespeare was Fabian in Twelfth Night.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, I never realized Fabian was such an important character.
Well, there are no small parts. I had a lot of fun with that, and I was part of a threesome, and so you kind of it was Touchstone and Aguecheek, and they're very strongly defined characters. And you look around and say, okay, how do I fit into this trio in a way that makes sense, okay, and that complements kind of the different characters in some way? Okay, and that's kind of fun as a character actor. I can sometimes look around the stage and say, I've got lots of choices I can make. What choice is best going to tell the story and complement the choices that are on stage? And so that was fun about playing Fabian in that way.
Now, we've seen you a lot at the Muni as well as at Shakespeare, and
Speaking of big outdoor spaces.
Oh my gosh, yes.
particularly last year in Seussical, which was my favorite show last year. It was a complete surprise to me, because I think I'd only seen it once before in a youth performance, so I came with no expectations, and that was just a wonderful show.
They did a fabulous job, and all the resources of the Muni were brought together. The huge storybooks on the side, they could have the kid chorus watching the whole time, and then the back projection, they just really pulled out all the stops.
They were able to use the Seuss drawings on those projections and really give the feel. And who did you play in that?
I was Mr. Mayor, and I had this great wig that looked like kind of a melting wedding cake with all of these curls, and it was wonderful. I almost didn't have to do anything.
but you and April Strellinger were such concerned parents.
Yeah, it was fun working with April, and we had Abigail Isom, who it was easy to love Abigail and want to protect her.
Yeah, I bet.
As your daughter.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a wonderfully fun production.
Now, how do you find a difference, speaking of big outdoor spaces, obviously both the Shakespeare, Glen, and the Muni, but do you find a difference in the audiences and their responses in those two places? Obviously the material is different,
Sure.
the plays, but are you as an actor aware of audience responses that are different in those situations?
I don't know if they're different. They're further away, and so you have to kind of feel holding for laughter and that sort of thing. It's a little bit different scale and size because you're communicating to such a large audience as opposed to working at like New Jewish where the audience is literally this far away and you can scale it back and be more subtle.
But I was wondering about the difference between those two plays. Do you find the audience in Muni different from the audience at Shakespeare in the way they're responding? Are they quicker? Are they slower? Or?
No, I would say not. It is a very the Muni is certainly a very democratic sort of audience in terms of like all sorts of socioeconomic and background levels are there because of the free seats too.
Yeah.
But because Shakespeare is free, anybody can wander up from the park and get exposed to it. And people that have never seen Shakespeare before, never thought they wanted to see Shakespeare before, it has become an annual event. And it's so low risk, it is free.
Yeah.
Okay? And you're seeing well-acted Shakespeare. Okay, and with all the events around it, there's the pre-show and the clowns and everything. It's just a win-win on so many ways. But all the audiences for both the Muni and the Shakespeare Festival are engaged. They want to be there and they want to see it and they want to have a good time. They're not sitting back. Oh, we're judging this.
Yeah.
Do you have any other favorite parts at the Muni?
Oh, at the Muni?
Yes.
I played FDR in a production of Annie, and that was a lot of fun. That was a long time.
I remember Joe Neil Joplin saying he loved that because he didn't have to learn his blocking.
Right.
He was in a wheelchair.
Just taken around wherever. That really is pretty nice. You don't really stress about where the next entrance is. It's somebody else's problem. So that was lovely. I've done Glad Hand recently in West Side Story, and I loved doing that.
That was a wonderful West Side Story.
That was
really cool.
A beautiful set. I really just caught so much of that story, both the dark and the tenderness of that story. Other ones, I've done the Elocution Guy twice in Singing in the Rain. I've done it once with Lara Teeter, and so who's a colleague of mine at the conservatory, and so that was fun to do that too.
Which reminds me, now I believe that there has been some development in the relationship between the Muni and the conservatory, right? Are you involved with that at all, or have you seen the effects of it? Or
I'm starting to see the effects of it. We have several partnerships, Webster, with different professional organizations. We have one with the Shakespeare Festival, one with the Repertory Theater, one with Opera Theater of St. Louis, and our newest one is with the Muni. Okay, and we run with the Muni a 2-week summer intensive for students from all across the nation can come and get that exposure. And for those that are ready, some of them can be put into the chorus of Muni shows. They were in the Ladue News or one of those. There's a big article, 9 kids from Westminster are in Muni shows this summer in the chorus because of this sort of program that the Muni has. So the Muni has a sense of responsibility to cultivate people in the musical theater world, the next generation. They come into our class, Mike and Megan come to our classes a lot and give feedback to the musical theater students. There is a wonderful sense of responsibility that they take.
During the school year?
During the school year, yes, exactly.
They're there.
Yeah, they're back. They're giving feedback to the musical theater students, feedback about their Muni auditions. The Muni auditions are held on the campus of Webster University, so it's easy for our students to get to.
Yeah.
So that's been a great partnership.
Yeah. And I was wondering, the Webster students, obviously getting terrific training and moving on. What do you see happening to them after they leave here? I know a great variety of things, of course, but I wonder anything in particular that you're particularly proud of, or
we foresee them being ready to take advantage of opportunities that come their way.
yeah.
There's certainly a lot of luck. Okay, we try to give them opportunities. They do showcases in New York and a intensive workshop in LA with casting directors, which
LA
gives
too.
which gives them opportunities. You can't chart anyone's career, but hopefully we have given them the foundation for their training that they can take advantage of opportunities wherever they come up. And so that's what I foresee of them, their ability to do that. And we have students on Broadway. Our students always pop up in commercials across the country. We have students that are active in repertory theaters across. It's about kind of finding your niche and where you want to be.
Now, another theater that you have a relationship in town is Mustard Seed.
Me personally, yes,
Yes.
I do. Yes, I'm an artistic advisor on the artistic advisory board for that theater, and that has been a great thing. I'm very proud of that theater. They have carved out a unique niche in St. Louis in terms of the types of plays that they're looking at. It tends to be thought-provoking, heartfelt drama.
So you're a man of many parts, and it's been great to have you here. Thank you so much.
It's been
Jerry
great
Glasgow,
to talk to you guys.
Thank you for being with us. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We'll be watching some of these productions from our 2 seats on the aisle.
And we'll be watching the mail and the email for your thoughts on theater in this program and for items for the calendar. Send them to 2 on the Aisle, HEC TV, 3221 McKelvey Road, Bridgeton, Missouri, 63044, or by email to tota@hectv.org.
Join Deborah Sharn for more news about theater on the KDHX blog, Break a Leg, Theater in St. Louis and Beyond. And find more news about all the arts on State of the Arts on HEC TV on Sundays and Thursdays at 7 p.m.
Catch Bob's reviews on KDHX.
Catch Jerry's reviews in the St. Louis Jewish Light, and catch both of us next time on cable and the web for opera, more Muni, and lots of new plays.
We'll see you then.